Hi everyone, I'm Natalie from MyProgression, and this video is all about how to de-escalate defensive behaviour using verbal interventions. This training is for anyone working with children or young people and will give you some tools to use when dealing with someone entering crisis. For more information on crisis, see our video titled The 6 Stages of a Crisis, How to Help a Child, which will give you lots more information and will take you through how to recognise defensive behaviour. A quick recap on what crisis is. It's when the child or young person has essentially lost control, and this could lead to a dangerous or unstable situation. The 6 stages of crisis are anxiety, defensive, risk behaviours, recovery, depression, and resolution. So in this video, we're going to give you techniques to effectively and safely de-escalate the situation. Verbal interventions can be used during most of these stages, but the techniques we're talking through today work best at the defensive stages of crisis. Remember, MyProgression offers CPD certificates to allow you to evidence your learning. See the description for more information. Defensive behaviour types. Defensive behaviour comes in various forms, but remember, regardless of the form these behaviours take, this is a byproduct of an underlying emotion. It could be they're frustrated, worried, or unhappy. I'm going to take you through some common types of defensive behaviour you might come across in the classroom one by one, as well as the best approach that you as staff can take to effectively de-escalate the situation. As we go through each one, remember, you cannot control how somebody else behaves, but you can control how you react and manage the situation. You should always attempt to remain calm, no matter what. Our video Calm Communication Body Language Tips for Teachers provides helpful ways to manage your own mindset and remain calm. So check that out after this video. And whilst you're there, like and subscribe to keep hearing more from MyProgression. The first type of defensive behaviour we'll cover is challenging questioning. Challenging questions can be tough to deal with because you may perceive that the individual is questioning your authority or trying to draw you into a power struggle. When someone asks a challenging question, the best verbal intervention technique you can use is to downplay what they're asking and take them back to the original topic. Let's have an example. Imagine you've set an algebra-related task during your maths lesson. You notice a student staring out of the window, so you gently prompt them to turn to page 56 to work on the task. You find that they respond with, "When am I ever going to use algebra anyway? What is the point in doing this?" Sound familiar? So my response might sound something like, "I can't say whether you'll use algebra or not, but if you complete the task now, then we can move on to something else." Notice how we aren't answering the question, and we certainly aren't getting drawn into a power struggle, but rather we're being clear in our intentions for the task to be completed. The second defensive behaviour is defiance. At this stage, the child or young person might be uncooperative and unwilling to follow any instructions. When you're faced with this type of defensive behaviour, we recommend you take a safe and respectful approach that offers choice. I'll use my first example to demonstrate. Let's say that when you've asked the child to complete the algebra task, they responded by saying, "No, leave me alone." This is a simple refusal to carry out your instructions. So your response might sound like, "If you complete it here with me, then I can make sure you get your full lunch today." Or, "You can either do this here with me now or during break time this afternoon. Which would you prefer?" When using this type of verbal intervention, you must remember 3 key points. 1, the choices that you offer must be reasonable. The child or young person must be able to achieve the outcome. 2, they must communicate respect. And finally, it needs to provide a desired outcome. The aim here is to redirect the child's attention to the desired outcome, which in this case is the completion of the task. Outburst is another type of defensive behaviour. It's a verbal, emotional, or high energy output, which could include shouting, screaming, or swearing. Again, using our original example, the child's response could be, this is f***ing stupid, I'm never going to use this. It's so important here to remember to stay calm yourself and not rise to match the child's energy level. We suggest you allow the young person to be heard and say what they need to say before responding, whilst maintaining an understanding approach. So your response might sound something like, I hear your frustration. If we get this task done together now, then after lunch, we can sit down and talk about your concerns. You might experience a child or young person making threats, which is still a type of defensive behaviour. It's important to note here to think about not only the words that someone is using, but how they are saying it. Is the child acting aggressive, or are they now in your personal space pointing at you? It really is best to avoid any further intervention on your own. This is likely to jeopardise the safety and welfare of both you and the young person. They might say, I dare you to try and make me do it, watch what happens. At this point, you need to take all threats seriously. Maximise your safety and call for help. Remember, if you don't have an established relationship with a young person, then you can't truly know whether they intend to follow through on their threat. You may have noticed that in all of the scenarios, the words if and then are used. This is known as a conditional sentence. Conditional sentences are a great tool to de-escalate behaviour by offering favourable outcomes if your instructions are followed. To put it simply, if you do this perfectly reasonable task now, then you won't have any negative consequences. All of the types of defensive behaviours we've just been through can occur at any point from any individual. Practicing these techniques is so important for them to have the most impact. Remaining calm and consistent in your own mind and body language is vital for this to work. If you found this video on defensive behaviours useful, then send the link to someone who might also like it. Sharing knowledge and resources will help everyone perfect their craft. I've been Natalie from MyProgression. Make sure you tune in next week to see more videos on working in education. And let's keep your career in motion.